And I may be controversial to some people. That does not mean that I am wrong. I am vegan for the majority of my life now. My vegan journey started way ago. The reason I am vegan is because for the animals. How I've never harmed anybody ever in their whole life. I'm vegan because I care about justice and equality. I'm not vegan because I wanted to be a political person or that I wanted to be a public relation expert. I'm a real person. I'm not playing games. I know it shocks people sometimes. But if you look to the work of people like the French philosopher Moscovitch, you see that in his way, actually European philosophy, social philosophy, which is in some significant ways quite different from the American philosophy. You see that actually people are often listen to the ones actually that are more close to them in appearance, in the way they speak. I mean, some people will listen to me more. Some people want more listen to people from DXC, who are um, more concerned with being on the way of the kind of activism. I promote also groups that break laws, for example. I supported the Animal Liberation Front. They are not terrorists. Freeing animals from places of torture is a noble act of rescue and harm. And if you need to harm, actually, even if you harm accidentally one of those exploiters, I see that as a noble act of vicarious self-defense. It is self-defense. It's defending somebody how they can defend themselves. And building, destruction of a building is vandalism. You don't can commit violence on an inanimate object. If I hit a wall, that wall does not feel pain. If I hit a car, that car does not feel pain. Do you understand this? Do you understand the difference between actually harming some creature and existential harm? There's a difference in most kind of law systems is saying. For example, if I 100% sure if the Animal Liberation Front was actually freeing children from a child prostitution ring, and they use the tactics they use most of the time. They have never hired anybody in their 50 years of existence, 50 plus years of existence. In contrast with the FBI, I have a track record where I not want to talk about today, but if you want that I go about it, I can also actually remember you of when they tried with Lily the Pig, actually, when Direct Action Everywhere was actually freeing that pig from Smithfield's terrorist organization. Oh, I mean, Smithfield's legal organization, uh, pig killing factories. When they were actually harassing sanctuaries and stalking their people that actually to work there. If I find it article. I can also go a bit on a rate on this, if you want. For example, the FBI did actually train ISIS. For example, and I did know about terror training. Here is also no. I just like to have sometimes weird color hair, Mr. Dutch, not real. Like I did say, the Animal Liberation Front is a pacifist organization. I am not left or right. I have problems with both sides of the political spectrum. I am talking about Direct Action Everywhere, an organization that protests against Smithfield's very nice industries. Industries like this, where you pay for if you are eating animals. By the way, are you from the Netherlands? Or did you find that a funny name? Now, if you eat animals, is it okay to sometimes? Is it okay to sometimes abuse children? Is it make that okay? Sorry, but animals, pigs, for example, are on the same kind of intelligence as a child of 3 to 9, and that's basically what's also I say. And it is not necessary to eat animals. So why should you eat animals? And why do you think you can love and eat that animal at the same time? Sorry if I bit confusing, but do you believe that you can love an animal and eat them at the same time? In other words, is it possible to love children and harm and sometimes kick your child? I think you cannot love somebody, some creature, and on the same time also paying for them to be harmed. I think it is a very big cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is basically when you have two beliefs that are actually in a fight with each other. For example, you love animals, but you eat them, or you been against violence, but you are in a gang, or you say that you are against abuse to woman, but you beat your wife. So, you know, all animals need to be, all animals, let us say this, all animals are going to the slaughterhouse. No matter how nice you think they are raised, they still get their throats slit and the babies stolen. That's the business of the meat-dairy and egg industry. They're always on the end get their throats slit and that life is taken away far before their natural lifespan. For example, pigs can live up to the age of 15, but they are often killed from actually on the age of just 6 months. Cows can live 25 and killed on the age of 5, most of the time, sometimes 7. So why trying to make excuses actually for why you eat animals, and why try to be actually saying that, oh, I just eat a little bit, or I just eat flesh from some farmer I know or that I trust. It is not necessary to eat animals. So why do you eat it? You can eat beans, you can eat lentils, legumes. I have been vegan for around 15 years, I think now. All vitamins and minerals come from plants. The animals have minerals because they eat plants. If you want to know about certain vitamins, I have a whole vitamin list actually also. I have a whole list of vitamins and minerals here, where you can find them in a plant-based diet. Like I did say, no. If you want to go vegan, actually search challenge 22. Challenge on that website. Challenge 52. Advanced challenge 22. They can show you a lot of recipes. Also, have you ever heard from there's a vegan bodybuilder also from Germany? His name is Patrick Baboumian. He is he's one of the strongest men in Germany, and he is also vegan. I can send you also a link to his YouTube channel if you want. Oh, I'm still have this web page open. Yeah, I'm back. This is a video of Patrick Baboumian, that guy who I was talking about. I was a German vegan a strongman. That video is from TED Talk, and he talks about actually about why he is vegan. My goal is actually to stop animal agriculture, and actually that's the most that's anybody goes vegan actually, because it is unnecessary. It is also one of the main reasons of actually the six mass. If actually this is the main reason of the destruction of the rainforest and other forests, because animal agriculture takes a large amount of land actually. If you look to this, for example, there are studies done in the United States. The United States, it's just a little bit more flash than actually in most of the places in Europe. And there are actually did see that are around, at an average tree can take around 1/5. Yeah, let us say. Do you know what an acre is? An acre is around 5 acres is around 1 hectare. Yeah, that's one. 5 acres is 2 hectares. So keep that in mind. One vegan, according to those studies, I've also done studies in actually some of my videos on my YouTube channel. Shows that one vegan needs just 1/6 of an acre, and a meat eater takes 3 acres, according to those studies. If I can find them, I can also put them in actually there if you want. If you want. Oh yeah. Also, according to this source here, around. Why did I see that? Around I think I scrolled over. My eyes are a bit dry. Around 90. 89% of all the. Yeah, here I see. Around 19. It's 82% of all the food on the world is actually feed. It's livestock feed. Its children are actually 81% of 82%. I mean, of the world's starving children live in countries where their food is fed to livestock and then transported to the West for consumption. So it is not only for the animals, but veganism can also potentially stop world hunger. If you find that stuff interesting, you can Also go to my YouTube channel, where I talk more about that kind of stuff. Most of the videos there are pre-recorded, so they are a bit different than this one. If you are going vegan, that will be the best decision you will ever make. If you are truly caring about animals and the environment, I think you feel in your heart far better knowing that you don't harm animals with your food choices. And now I do. On the time that I actually realized that I did not have to eat animals, I did do it because I did not want to be cruel to creatures that never harmed me in my whole life. And I think you also don't want it. But further, the reason I did start to go vegan was because, like I did say, because I did actually realize what was happening to animals, and I did realize that I did not need to eat animals to be healthy. All minerals and vitamins and minerals come from actually the plant kingdom, and animals have only some of them because they're eating plants. The only problem sometimes maybe can be vitamin B12, but the majority of vitamin B12 is actually injected into cows, also because they are not sitting in good conditions, and so they're on vitamins B stores that I get from eating grass in the first place and dirt is actually taken away from them. In the United States, for example, around study this study, for example, from 2000 from 2000 shows that the majority of non-vegans in the United States, actually the majority of vegans in the people in the United States, actually have vitamin B12 deficiency is very high. If I can find the statistic here exactly, they were talking about somewhere the study about. Oh yeah, it's a low actually deficient levels of vitamin B12. So like the study so here says. I think vitamin B12, personally think that vitamin B12 is more like a sanitation issue, because vitamin B12 is actually a bacteria that live naturally in the soil, and in the waters, and also is found sometimes on unwashed vegetables from if you're having your own garden, for example. But yeah, it was not 100% actually. Some 15 years ago, I did not, or completely 100% doing anything anytime was eating the right stuff. There was also not so much information actually in non-English around that time on the internet. So, and I also did not have so much, also not friends that were also vegan. So yeah, I needed to. I found that out and that out. Then I actually did before I did actually. No, I was vegan. Actually, I think I first did stopped eating land animals. Then a couple of not so long after that, I did stop eating chicken. Periods, eggs that come from the cloaca of chickens. It's the poop hole, the chicken menstruation hole. Chickens are only eggs are only produced by female chickens. So it is basically the bird version of a period. Eggs, chickens in the natural world did actually lay around 12 eggs in a year. I'll talk about that in my video about egg industry. And this video, if people are actually interested in that. And later I did realize actually what was happening in the dairy industry. Which is also cruel, and is also not nice. Baby boys, baby and baby cows, how they're called in English, bobby cows, are stolen from their mother. One of the worst screams I ever heard from animals is the scream of a mother cow on a dairy farm, screaming her lungs out for months for a stolen baby. But the animals are their bodies. The only reason the dairy industry actually have the impregnate the cows is because mammals only produce milk when their mother cow is pregnant. So all dairy cows that produce milk have a baby that is stolen from her, or in some cases even already been again impregnated against our will. Realizing this, I did not can live anymore with the Joneses, and since I know anything about what's happening in these industries, I did go vegan. Simple as that. So you can see, I'm still alive. I'm still doing well. I'm no longer looking like I have anorexia. What I actually did do some couple of years ago is because I was eating too little carbs. If you're eating too little carbs, if you're eating too little food, actually then you are becoming extremely skinny. If you are eating only around 1200 calories a day, 1200 calories a day, then you are getting extremely skinny. You will also get probably going to look. You are probably going to look like you have anorexia if you are doing that, because you're eating like a person with anorexia. If you want to look like a person with anorexia, eat like a person who have anorexia. If you want to look like a bodybuilder, eat junk like a bodybuilder. Also, probably take steroids, because a lot of them do. But you can also be a vegan bodybuilder. Patrick Baboumian is a strong man, and he have a lot of muscle. And you also have then, how's that guy called? Hank Harbour. That's his channel. Hank Harbour is a very big guy. So if you don't find it for one or another reason that my body looks, if you don't want to look like me, you want to look more like a bodybuilder, you can follow this guy. He is quite strong looking. He is my body type is more like that of a cyclist or a runner. He is more like a strong, like a bodybuilder, and that's the reason I say that if you want to see proof that you can be strong, and if you are and not be vegan, look to this guy. Actually, he's for some time now vegan. He also makes fun of anti-vegans, like this and Travis guy, how he eats rotten flesh. It is quite wheat is quite gross. I think you don't disagree. People that eating rotten corpses is gross. Just in case you want to check out Hank Harbour's channel. Hank Harbour. But I think another reason I am vegan is because I have a better experience with animals. It sounds maybe weird, but I personally sometimes think that the animals understand me better than a lot of people. I've heard that more people actually how are quite intelligent also, but also people who have autism, and people who are just a bit outcast sometimes, have better actually can better relate to animals in certain ways. Animals don't judge you without reason. Animals are just themselves. They don't play games. They are far less manipulative than most people in the society. There are, of course, not all people are, of course, manipulative, but a quite big percent of people, specifically higher up in the society structure, seems to me not trustful and want to serve more their own agenda. I am here on the internet only to try to stop people from harming animals. I'm sometimes in my videos on YouTube a bit rude, maybe for some people, a bit too answering, but the reason I say stuff, if you go to my channel, my YouTube channel, and you see me talking about some stuff, you see me angry or outrageous, try to admit and eat from the animal's point of view, from the victim point of view. You feel maybe obsessed when I say something that you maybe not understand because some concept is maybe new for you. But that does not mean that I'm not right, and it does also not mean that I it should also mean it's also that I have the right to say that. Article 980 of the Human Rights Laws is actually the one that you can actually express your opinions without interference. Actually, specifically when the things you're saying are true. This law is specifically important for activists and for independent media. I think, of course, it is not good if you misuse it and actually try to create a cult under the law that you say, oh, I have the right to say anything what I want. Of course not. If you have to have some points about something. You cannot say stuff just because you like to say it is slander. I think that's also not what I mean. What I mean is that you have the right to actually share your opinions. You have the right to expose groups, organizations, even governments, if you ask me, for being full of it. Can go away with it if you are in the right. I think if you are in the right, you should even say the most outrageous thing about the government. In the eyes of the government, outrageous, I mean. If a government is exploiting his own workers, it's like Donald Trump does. Donald Trump is actually destroying the life of some of his workers, for the people in the meatpacking industry, the animal exploitation industry, the animal workers, how he forced to go to work again, and there are quite a lot of outbreaks of coronavirus in those industries. Not that I specifically care so much about those people, but I think for people that care, I think for the human rights people that's mainly care about this position, I think they should care about it. Like I say before, I think personally that being poor does not give you the right to take any job you want that you can get, even if the job is morally questionable, and in my opinion, pure evil. and in the animal's opinion, quite evil. Just like I don't support, personally, I don't support mafioso. People in the mafia are probably most of the time going into those industries because they are also being born in it. People in the mafia sometimes go into the mafia because that's the only way they can get their money. Some people, I've heard stories that some people go into the Yakuza because one of their because their parents cannot take care of themselves and because they are sick, and they go into the Yakuza and actually to get money because that's the best job, that's actually best paying job, working for the Yakuza. And their normal workers I don't want to have them because they are too young or something like that. And the Yakuza don't care about your age. They only care if you are if you can make the money. So yeah, but a little bit more about some stuff about me. I am also quite different than most people in some other ways. In the way that I'm not interested so much in relationships. I care for myself personally more about and actually about getting my stuff done. Actually, I'm also working right now on a book. I once I am personally more about actually trying to get my YouTube channel together and my Twitch channel. I care more about actually. I choose to have friends over relationship. I consider myself to be asexual. Asexuality is actually when you there's a sexuality without a sexuality. People who are asexual don't want to have a sexual relationship. They are not into naked bodies. They don't get aroused from seeing people naked. Most people who are asexual think people look far better with clothing on is than actually without them. We are just different in that. So, but like I always say, you don't have to agree with me 100% of the time. I think that's is quite frankly impossible to agree with somebody 100% of the time. But as long as you have the same goal, in my case, I want to stop animal agriculture because it is a terrible industry in so many specific ways. It's bad for the environment, it is bad for the animals, it is bad for trying to stop world hunger, it is bad for the water quality around the 1950s. There were just 50 high public zones. Today we have 50, 100, 500 of them. And this study is actually from a couple of years ago, so maybe there are already far more of them. Hyperbaric zones are ocean dead zones, zero ocean zones, are zones actually where you have an overfertilization of plankton, of cyanobacteria, produce oxidants, and then they actually die and actually create cyanotoxins. That's a very simple way to explain it, and I hope you will understand that. And that's why. I hope this video was interesting for some of you. I hope also that you will all let a comment in the comment section and subscribe, share the videos I did make and I make on my channel. I will do tomorrow again drawing video. Where I draw some animal rights activist or plant-based doctor or vegan musician. And I see you all next time. Bye bye. Have a nice evening or morning.